In part 2, we decided that the alternative way to account for variations in discursive features would be to start by splitting the original analytic task 9b into two, and have the last item about variability as a hypothetical task 9c, so that with that task we would start afresh in deciding how to accomplish it with components of ATLAS.ti. We then thought through the pros and cons of each possible component, using the Step 4 worksheet to balance the pros and cons of each component, and decided on smart codes as the best component for this context. Then we filled out the APW for accomplishing this task, and it involved a constructed tool with these steps. Use a single variability code to code quotations with a different use of a discursive feature from the normal pattern. Create smart codes in the query tool for each discursive feature code, first with and then without the variability code, and write about the instances of variability in the smart code comments. I'll demonstrate how to do that in Trina's project. Here is the Code Manager, docked as the first tab in the central workspace. And we want to focus on just the reply posts in this final part of Trina's project. We can see that Trina has already done the first step in the constructed tool to create a single variability code, and this is defined as reply posts that do not seem to conform to the normal pattern, and it looks like she has linked this to 18 quotations. As we can see from the first one, the quotation is coded to two discursive features as well as the variability code, and also a status code which we're not concerned about right now. We're now going to make a pair of smart codes for each discursive feature code. Coming back to the Code Manager, for each of the 10 discursive feature codes, in other words, the 11 codes in the reply group shown here except for the variability code, we'll use the Query tool, which we find in the Analyze menu. And I'll move up this line so I can see all the codes. And I'll start creating a pair of smart codes for the first discursive feature, claims of normal. The query, or formula, or macro of codes and operators is built up visually in this space. I'll double-click on the discursive feature code, and then the AND operator, because I want the smart code to find quotations coded to both this discursive feature and coded to variability. By the way, whichever box has a light blue border around it is the currently live bit of the query, and its resulting quotations are down here. So these are simply the quotations coded to the code claims of normal. Now I double-click on the variability code, and I've built a query. Note that the blue border is still around the first code, so its results still show. If I click on the other code, the variability code, then all its 18 quotations show. And if I click on the AND operator, I find only the quotations coded to both codes, which is what I want. And in this case, it's only one. Now I click on the Save Smart Code button, which saves the whole query or formula, and I'll give it the name plus claims of normal. The plus sign is going to be my shorthand for discursive codes with variability. And because the symbol plus is the first character, all the smart codes for discursive features with variability will sort together in the code list, which is convenient for finding them. Now I'm going to add to the query to make the second smart code by inserting the not operator to the variability code by clicking on it and then clicking on the not operator. We can read this new query easily. All quotations coded to claims of normal and also coded to not variability, or maybe in better English, and not coded to variability. If we click on the variability code, we get all the quotations coded to variability, which is 18. If we click on the not operator, we get all the quotations not coded to variability, which should be a lot. In other words, all the quotations in the whole project not coded to variability, which, yes, is a lot. And then if we click on the AND operator, we get the results we want for this query, which looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's correct. The 11 quotations coded to claims of normal, less the one quotation we found earlier that is also coded to variability. Now we can turn this into a smart code called -sign or dash claims of normal. Now I'll quickly zip through this for the second discourse feature code, closings, so we've at least got a couple to look at. I won't do any more. You have the idea now. But if this was for real, we would go through this process for each of the 11 discursive feature codes. I'll return to the code manager, but I don't see the smart codes. That's because this list is still filtered to only show the reply codes, and I haven't yet added the new smart codes I made into the reply group of codes. So I'll remove the filter here to see all codes. Here are my smart codes clustering together due to the symbol as their first character. I'll select them all and drag them into the reply group. Then filter again by the reply group just by clicking on it, and this is the set of codes I want to work with for the last step of the constructed tool, which is write about variability in the comment of each smart code. Maybe I'll first read through the claims of normal quotations without variability to remind myself of the normal pattern. And then when I've done that, I'll start going through claims of normal with variability, which in this case, as we know, is only a single example. So I'll read that, think about it, and then I'll come back to the code manager and then make a comment for that quotation in the comment area of the smart code, making sure I note the quotation number, which is 18:2, the second quotation in the 18th document, so that when I review this comment later or output the smart codes with their comments to work on in Word, I know which quotations they're referring to in case I want to refer to the full text later. I'm willing to put up with this extra effort because I already balanced this small disadvantage of smart code comments against the larger advantages of using smart codes for this analytic task when I was working through the choice of components in step 4 of translation before creating this constructed tool. So this is the most fully described exercise we've demonstrated so far in adopting the 5-level QDA approach for alternative ways to fulfill the same analytic task. Now you can look at the final set of videos, the harnessing component videos, to see similarly worked illustrations, but in those cases for different ways to harness the same component to fulfill very different analytic tasks.